Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute drawstring pouch. I'm not sure if I want to call this a bunny or a bear, so it's a bunny bear. He has a cute red nose. I did want to give him red eyes, but I did not have any on hand, at least not the kind of opalescent ones I would have liked to add. You can see that he is made on a granny square pattern with a nice little scalloped edge, huge rosy cheeks, and then a star to kind of keep our drawstring from coming out at any point. So if you are interested in making this adorable little bag, keep watching. To make the main part of the bag, we are going to need as many colors as you would like to use. I'm using a speckly blue, a light purple, and a pastel yellow. For both pieces, we will be using a 3mm hook, a darning needle, and your scissors. For the face portion of this bag, you are going to need white, red for the mouth, and pink for the blush. And let's not forget 8 or 9mm safety eyes. If you don't feel comfortable melting the backs of yours, please make sure that you do use the backs that come with these. You're more than welcome to do what I do, and I like to take some wire snips and snip off at the furthest thread from the stopper that you kind of put on between the eye part and the fabric. I just kind of snip it away. That part is a little bit flawed because you can completely break it or have sharp pieces left, so I prefer to melt mine. If you are a minor, please ask an adult to do this for you. I'm going to be using the speckled blue for the center part of my bag. We are going to be starting with a magic ring. And for this row, this is the only row my chain 2 is going to count as a stitch. So we will work 2 double crochet into the magic ring, chain 2, work 3 double crochet into the magic ring, chain 2, 3 more double crochet into the magic ring, chain 2, and you can see here that we have 3 clusters of 3, and so we will be putting 3 more double crochet, and we will be chaining our final 2. From here, you can go ahead and pull your tail tight, and I like to make sure it's pulled to the back of my work, and then you will slip stitch into the top of those 2 chains from when we first started. This is a little bit tricky for me just because I tend to have a tighter tension. And there we go. Okay, so I lied. This next row, chain 3, is going to count as a stitch. And the reason for that is because this is sitting right in the edge of this corner, and we don't want to turn around and work the other way, and we want to keep going continuously in our rounds. So chain your 3, and that's going to count as the very last stitch of our row. So we're going to skip this cluster here, and we are going to go right to this corner, and we are going to put 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Double crochet, and I like to just make sure they're kind of smushed to their own side. Chain 2, 3 double crochet. Make sure to be careful if your yarn splits like mine. And now that we have our 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet in the corner, we are just going to skip right to the next corner and do 3 more double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. Three double crochet, chain 2, and 3 more double crochet. And once again, we are going to go right into the next corner with 3 double crochet. Chain 2 and 3 double crochet. Now we are to our final corner. Work 3 double crochet, chain 2, and this time we're only going to be working 2 double crochet, because remember I said that chain 3 is going to count as our first stitch. So you're going to find the top of your chain 3 and you are going to slip stitch right into that. And there you go. It looks like a completed corner. So for here, you can choose to use chain 3 as your first stitch, or you can do as I prefer to do here, and I will chain 2 and not count this as a stitch. That way I can get all 3 of my double crochets between these 2 clusters of 3. So we're going to be working 3 double crochet into the first space. And remember, I'm not counting my chain 2 as a stitch. Then we are going to be skipping to the corner, and we are going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Once your corner is complete, remember that we are not going to be chaining before we go to this space. We're just going to immediately go to our 3 double crochet right into that center space. And we will be repeating this all the way until the end. And now that we have completed our corner, we are back to where we had started. If you chained 3, make sure you're slip stitching into the top of your chain 3. If you chained 2 and then did your 3 double crochet into the first space, so all of them were dropped down in there, make sure you are slip stitching into the first double crochet. And this is as far as I'm going to go with my center color, so I'm going to cut my yarn, pull it through. This yarn has been a bit of a pain working with. And then you are going to go and grab your next color. You can see here in this example I did 1, 2, 3 rows of my blue. And I have 1, 2, 3 rows of blue here. You could make this a solid color or only border it with a different color, or do whatever you'd like with it, but to keep consistency, I'm going to be switching to my second color. My second color, as I had mentioned, is going to be a baby purple. This time we're going to make a slip knot, and we are going to do a standing double crochet. So we're not slipping to join, but in that first space after this corner where we had ended our work, you're going to hold the tail. So here's what's connected to the ball, and this is the tail. You are going to hold the tail with your thumb and another finger, and you are going to yarn over like you are going to make a double crochet. Hold that yarn, insert your hook like you're making a double crochet, pull your working yarn through, grab it while holding your loops, pull it through the first 2 on your hook, grab it again and pull it through the last 2. And there you have a standing double crochet. And now all we need is 2 more to complete the cluster into the first space. So just like the row before, we are going to be putting 3 double crochet in each space with no chains between. And then when you get to the corner, you are going to work 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet into the corner, and we will be working this all the way around. Now that I have completed the last corner, we are just going to slip stitch into the standing crochet we had started with. So from here we are done making our granny square clusters, and we are going to chain 2. I will not be counting this as a stitch. We will double crochet into the same space we had joined, and we will double crochet into every stitch. So the top of every 3 of the cluster we will double crochet into, including up to here, and then I will let you know what we're going to do in the corner. So for now, 1 double crochet into each stitch. So now that I have double crocheted into the top of each cluster of 3 stitches, we are to our corner. In the corner we will be placing 2 double crochet. So 1, 2, And this time we are only going to chain 1, and then we are going to insert 2 more double crochet. And once we are complete our corner, we are going to go back to 1 double crochet into each stitch. Make sure that what you put in the corner does not cover that first stitch, which is the top of the first of the 3. So make sure you're getting into that first stitch. We are back to where we started, and now we are just going to slip stitch to join in the first double crochet we made and cut our yarn. So you are going to make 1 more of these squares, only this time after you have slip stitched, do not cut your thread. Once you've got that completed, I will meet you back here. Here you can see I have both of my completed granny squares. You can see that I just pulled some slack here and from what's connected to the ball still. The reason you're going to keep this connected is because once we get this border on here, that is going to be in the back up here, and that is where we are going to work up, and it just saves us a few ends from being woven in. So make sure the wrong side of each piece is touching. And remember, we want this join of the connected yarn to be the top. So we are going to start in this left corner up here. Take the color you want your border to be and make a slip knot. Insert your hook into the corner of each. Slip to join, and from here we will be working a single crochet right into that corner. We are going to skip the first stitch, and we are going to work through both second stitches after skipping one, and we are going to put 5 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we are going to skip the next one, and we are going to single crochet through each of the next stitches. So remember, single crochet them together. We're going to skip the next one and work 5 double crochet into the stitch after. See, here's the skipped one. So make sure you're skipping on both sides and work your 5 double crochet. And then this will be the last stitch before the corner, and you will be putting a single crochet, and into the corner we will be putting 3 half double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. And we will not be skipping. We will be putting a single crochet right into that next stitch after the corner on both sides. And we will put a single crochet again. Now we will skip the next stitch and 5 double crochet into the next. And this time we don't have the room to skip before we put our single crochet, so we're just going to single crochet right into that last stitch before the corner. And then we again are going to put our 3 half double crochets into the corner. And again, we are not going to skip. We are going to put a single crochet right into the first stitch following the corner. And now you're going to skip the next stitch and add your 5 double crochet in the one after that. And then we are going to single crochet into the corner, and this time we are going to slip stitch into it as well, and we are going to cut our yarn. Now I like to make sure I move my working yarn out of the way as to not unravel anything, and tuck those ends in for now unless you want to weave them in right away. And there you go, you have the base part of your pouch, and now we are going to work along the top. So for this we are going to just pick back up our working thread or yarn, chain 2 and chain 3 if you want to count this as your first stitch. I do not, so I am only chaining 2, and you will be working 1 double crochet into each stitch around. But near the seam, I will show you what we will be doing. So I've worked all of my stitches up to the corner space, and I am going to put a double crochet into the corner space. And then I am going to flip to the other side, and I am going to put a double crochet into this corner space as well. And then make sure you don't miss that first stitch right there, and we are going to double crochet into that. And I do understand that this makes it look like an increase here, but I promise you doing this will help us get to an appropriate stitch count for weaving in our ties here. This one's just a placeholder for now. This one is going to be blue with yellow stars on it. Now we're to where we had started, and if you chained your 3, slip stitch into the 3rd chain up. If you chained 2 and did not count that as a stitch, slip stitch into the 1st double crochet you have made. So chain 2, do not count it as a stitch, double crochet, chain 2, slip stitch into that 2nd chain from the hook, and then you will double crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, slip stitch into the 2nd chain from your hook, and we will repeat this all the way around, and that's what gives us this cute kind of peek out ending or edging and a little bit of a ruffle because it does put space between the stitches. So I'm to my end here, and we are just going to simply slip stitch into the 1st double crochet we've made and then cut your yarn. I'm noticing now that I had started this with the working yarn in the front, as you can see through the scallops here. It's not really a big deal to me because when you cinch this shut, it's just gonna rumple anyways, and it's just hard to tell regardless because with the granny square method, there's really not a whole lot to be looking at there in terms of a seam. So if you want to get rid of your bulk, you can go ahead and weave in your ends now. Otherwise, we are going to start with the head of the bear. So I have not yet attached the cheeks on here, but I will show you when we get to that. Sorry, I don't know what my computer's fussing about. You can see that I embroidered the mouth and nose on. And I'm sorry about the light changes, everybody. And you can see here what I mean by melting the eyes on. Please, 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 if you are a minor, do not play with flames because it is an open flame very close to flammable yarn, and you also just don't want to burn yourself with this. If you do use this method, I pushed it out very far, I held a lighter to it, and then with glass, like the bottom of a glass bottle of artificial flavorings, I had pressed it down. But you're still going to want to be careful because if it slips to the side, it could still go through the fabric and melt and burn you. So to start off our bear, we are going to be needing our white. We will be making a slip knot. And we will begin by chaining 9. In the second chain from the hook, we are going to be putting 3 double crochet, so that is a 3 double crochet increase. So 1, back into that same stitch, 2, back into that same stitch, 3. Now we are going to double crochet 6, and as I always like to point out, I like to go into the back bumps of my starting chain just so we have those nice V's remaining intact to crochet in when we go around the other side. And into this last one, we are going to be working 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and to just kind of tidy it up, I like to make sure I can pull that tail and kind of work over that knot, because remember, this V is still part of this last stitch we're putting our 5 into. So I've done 3, I'm gonna insert my hook, and this time I'm gonna pull the tail down over my hook. See, here's the tail, I'm gonna pull over the hook, and then I'm gonna work my 4th and my 5th. And that just helps us to turn that corner a little bit, so now it's easier to see where we're going to be working next. We're going to be working 6 more double crochet, and since we did it in the loops the first time, we now have those nice V's to be putting each double crochet into. So 6 double crochets. And now we're back around where you can see the hole right here from the first stitch we had worked into. But remember, we only had put 3 double crochet into that, but we put 5 on this side. So 2 more double crochet. And before you join, make sure you're going into the top of the first. Here's my 3rd, here's my 2nd, and this is my 1st. And we're gonna slip stitch right into that. And this just sets us up to continue to work our rows in the round. So from here we are going to chain 2, and it does not count as a stitch. We are going to double crochet increase into the first stitch. Double crochet increase into the 2nd stitch, double crochet increase into the 3rd stitch, and double crochet increase into the 4th stitch. From here, we are going to double crochet 1 into each of the next 4. And now we are going to increase 7 times. Now we again are gonna do 4 singular double crochets into each of the next 4 stitches. And since we only did 4 increase groupings here, we are 3 short of 7, and we should have 3 stitches left. So 3 more increases. And slip stitch into that very first double crochet we had made. And here we are going to cut our yarn, make another slip knot with the same yarn, and we are going to count 5 stitches from the first one being the one that we had just joined into. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and push your hook through that 5th stitch. And we are going to slip stitch to join right on in there. So from here, we are not going to work in the stitch we just slip stitch into, but rather we are going to single crochet into the one after. Now we are going to half double crochet 3 into the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. My yarn is splitting on me. And now we are going to double crochet 3 into the next. 1, 2, 3. And now we are going to slip stitch 4, so right into the very next stitch, we're going to slip stitch 1, into the next stitch 2, into the next stitch 3, and into the next stitch 4. And without chaining anything at all, we are going to start with 3 double crochet into the very next stitch. 1, 2, 3, and now we are going to do our 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and now our single crochet. And from here we are going to slip stitch 9, and don't do these too tight. And now we are going to single crochet 8. And now we are going to slip stitch all the way back to where we joined. And now you can, sorry about that, cut your thread. And I like to, you don't have to do this, but I like to do an invisible join into the first slip stitch just to kind of level out that gap. And I know that is going to be hard for you to see on this white. So the goal is to not pull your last slip stitch too tight. So I'm going to loosen mine up a little bit if I can. And I'm going to skip over this little bit right here and go through both of those. Pull my tail through and then go back into the center of my ending slip stitch. And then I like to kind of even that out a little bit. And you can block these. I'm just banking on sewing these on to kind of flatten it out, but also it is going to be bulky underneath them, so I'm not too worried about them being a little wonky. That's also why I say slip stitch around loosely, and it just kind of gives you these cute bunny bear ears to work with. So for my eyes, I don't go into the little turning spot there. I push it through the very first one after the increase. And please remember that if you use a thicker yarn than what I'm using, which is the milk cotton, it's around fingering weight or DK, you will need larger eyes because your piece will be out larger. So again, here's the turning spot where we put all those turning stitches. And we are gonna insert the eye into the one after that. And to get these on, give me one moment. Now, I highly recommend the method where you just put the regular back on it and then use wire cutters to cut in one of those divots. That is typically what I do, but I do not want to waste backs of my eyes because I recently did drop a lot on the floor and I lost them. This is the glass bottle I've been using. It's just butterscotch flavoring, but it is glass. Make sure you do not use plastic or anything like that. Even ceramic would work better. So I just push it out like this, and then I kind of rotate it to make sure it's more evenly heated. And then you can push it down. And then your eye has a flat back on it, and it will not come out. So you can go ahead and do that to both eyes, or do the way I suggest you do and use these as intended and just snip any pointy bits off. And I will show you how I sew on the little nose. So you don't have to use red here, but I want something that's gonna contrast away from my pastels. So I'm just gonna cut a length of red. I'm gonna thread that on my needle. And with him, I kind of came out not under the stitch, but kind of, you know, the space between it a little bit. Make sure it's not gonna come up. Pull it through, but not all the way. And then for this one, I believe I just went in where I normally would, or no. I'm gonna go back in the loops underneath it. So I'm not in any holes, I'm making my own holes. So many ends in the way. And then I went between the center two, and you see the kind of little loop right here at the bottom of the one to the left. I went under that, and then I just kind of shoved my needle in the center underneath the top of the nose. Mine's a little crooked, but oh well, I don't care that much. They are just tiny little things, and it'll straighten a little bit as you tug it. I can get this off the needle. And then, because again, this is gonna be between two bits of fabric, no one's gonna see it, I like to tie it, but make sure you don't pull it too tight when you tie it, because then your nose will shrink too much. Cut that off because we don't need to weave anything in. And now you can see I got two of these. One's a little lumpier, but I work better when I'm not under stress. And now we are going to switch to our pink. And as you can see, because I also have a pink pouch, I am using a lighter pink than I had used for my pouch, just so I don't have colors that match. If you want your colors to match, go ahead and grab the same pink. So for the cheeks, it's very easy. We're just gonna start making our magic ring. and we are going to single crochet 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You pull your tail tight, and I am not going to join. I'm going to cut with a long enough tail to sew this on. Pull my thread through. Alright, got it through. And then you can see the last stitch where it's coming out of. And the first single crochet we made. So I'm going to go under both of the loops or through the first single crochet we had made. Don't pull it too tight. And then I am going to go back inside of the stitch our tail was coming out of. Oops, I caught my tail there. And to help avoid this little tugging bump you see there, I also like to go under that bump just below it on the back side. And that helps bring more stability so it doesn't really pull up as much, and you can just immediately start sewing your applique onto your work. Again, since this is going to be on the back side, I'm just going to tie off that starting tail from the magic ring. And then you have one cheek ready to sew on. And you are just going to make 2 of those and sew those onto your little bunny bear head. And then once you get that done, I will show you how we are going to make the ties and the stars. So now the face is sewn on, and you can see that I have already made my drawstring. I am only going to be going with 1. What I did to make my drawstring, if you are making multiple bags, just to sort of make sure you're getting the right size, a faster way than counting and recounting is to cut a length. And my length is 14 inches, and that leaves me this much hanging off when it's open. But keep in mind it's going to get closed, so it will get a little bit longer. So just take whatever contrasting color you want and chain around 14 inches. For the star part, I'm going to be playing around just a little bit because I don't actually have a plan for this, but let's just see how this will go. I am going to only be making a single star and encasing the ends of my drawstring inside of it. So to do this, I am going to start off with a magic ring. Make sure nothing's wrapped so it closes more easily. And I am going to single crochet 10 into this ring. I left my ring a little loose, so give me one moment to fix that. Now that I have my 10, I'm going to pull that tail nice and tight. I'm going to find my first stitch, and I'd recommend counting just to make sure that you are slip stitching into the correct one, because the stitch count does matter here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slip stitch into that 10th one. And I am going to cut my yarn here. And as I like to do, I am going to tighten that magic ring just a bit more and tie a knot to make sure it's secure in its spot. And since I do not want to weave in this one end, I am also going to tie that to my centerpiece but not too tight because you don't want to warp your circle. Now cut that and don't leave a whole lot left because that's just going to add bulk. Once again, we are going to make our magic ring. Unwrap our tail so it's easier to close. And we are going to single crochet 10 into the magic ring. Pull that tail tight and find the first stitch you made and slip stitch right into there, but do not cut your yarn. So I'm going to pull out a long enough tail so this does not come undone, and I am going to tighten my magic ring again and just tie that knot that keeps it closed. I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to put my yarn back onto my hook. And I'm going to chain 1. Now we are going to have the wrong sides facing each other, and you're going to make sure that you're working through 1 single crochet on each piece for every stitch I mention around, except for this chain 1. So go through the first stitch on the first one, and the second stitch on the next one, and we're going to single crochet. Next, we are going to half double crochet. Make sure you're getting through both the stitches. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, and now in the next stitch, remember to go through 2. We're going to half double crochet. Make sure you're getting both of those stitches together. Half double crochet. And into the same stitch again, we are going to single crochet. Now we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So remember, get through both. Slip stitch. Now we are going to single crochet into the same space. Oops. And all that really does is adds like a tiny chain without you having to chain, but it ensures that it stays small enough to not add too much bulk. Now we are going to half double crochet into the same space. Chain 2, slip stitch into the second stitch from the hook, yarn over, and we are going to half double crochet into the next stitch again. And then single crochet into the same space. And so this time we are going to insert our hook as if we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, but only go through one of your pieces this time. You're going to pick up the two ends from your drawstring bag, and you are just going to go through a loop on the end of each. And you are going to make sure that you get those ends out your way. And then you are going to go through the next stitch on the second piece. And you are going to slip stitch. And then you are going to go back through and you are going to single crochet. You are going to now half double crochet into the same space. Chain 2. Slip stitch into the second stitch from the hook. Yarn over, and now you can just make sure you tuck those tails in there and pull these back and out of the way. And now you will kind of smush that in there as you try and get your hook into the next stitch for your half double crochet. And then you will single crochet into the same space. And now we will slip stitch into the next space. Single crochet into the same space. Half double crochet. Chain 2. Slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. Half double crochet into the next space. Single crochet into the same space. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Single crochet into the same space. Half double crochet into the same space. Chain 2. Slip stitch into your second stitch from your hook. Half double crochet into the next stitch. Now this one may be hard to find, so you can just kind of place it wherever since it is the last one. And then single crochet into the same spot. And then I'm just going to end by slipping right deep in to the space just between my beginning and starting points. I'm going to cut my thread with the tail long enough to weave it in and pull it through. Give that a bit of a tug. And there we have it. One star to keep our ends together. Now, if you don't like that you can see through this part, just make sure you do it nice and tight. I did find in previous testing with a flower shape instead that sometimes if you pull on this more, it gets rid of the blue spots. Or even if you are sewing this end in the front, you can weave up in there and close those holes right on up. So this was my tutorial for you today. As you can see here, I'm almost done a second one as well. This is kind of my trial one. You can tell by it being a little bit more wonky, and I just have not put those cheeks on there yet. But I hope you really enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below. Give the video a like so other people can find me, and give me a follow or a subscribe if you want to see more cute content, or even if you want more earthy things. Again, just leave a comment and I will do my best. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!